Misty, what's going on? How are we? How are we doing
Beautiful day in the
today?
neighborhood, all
Yep,
is well. Yep.
absolutely. It's just more just craziness going on in the world, but that's not what we're here for today. We're
Woo.
here for the TT segment,
Oh,
trending
yeah.
thoughts. Yeah, that's the way that we put it on the podcast is just TT
TT,
as opposed to, and then dash whatever
the
the
topic.
actual subject is, but
Mhm.
it's kind of the episode versus like BIC, which is business in the car, and then like interview. Quite honestly, will probably just be interview. But for the TT, anybody who is new to it, it's trending thoughts. So we just take stuff that's trending right now, whether it could be in a lot of things, but we try to tie it back to very valuable things. And today we wanted to discuss topics or let's see, what was the title of everything? Trends. So trends, social media trends to watch out for in 2022. 2022. What the hell is going to be happening on social? And so we took some articles out there and just kind of going to go down the list of some of these trends, share some topics, thoughts on it, maybe some ways that we've utilized it, and whether or not we agree or disagree, I think is probably the right way to put it. But hopefully it will provide some value, a good snapshot of everything. And if so, as always, feel free to share.
Yeah,
Share
we'd
it,
love to hear your
share it to
feedback.
your peers. Anybody you
Mhm.
think could be or needs to hear this or could be interested in it or whatever. Just share the show. Share it.
Yeah, share the show and share your comments. What you think? We
That's
want to
right.
hear from you.
That's right. We're getting so official with this. This is the
Woo.
podcast. We're what, almost 40 shows in altogether. And we're starting to set the bar pretty high. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what's to come. But anyway, I will hand it over to you so that we can go through this list. And I think we just start with whatever you got there at topic number one. And we'll just talk about each one as we go. And we'll try to get through it and not make this a very long show. But hopefully
Yeah,
provide
so
value in the meantime.
yeah, I look forward to hearing some of your thoughts here, especially live videos transforming social media game.
Yeah.
So
So is there any context behind that? Like, or is it just let's discuss, or is it mentioning anything specific
just
whenever it
live
comes to
videos
live
being
videos?
broadcasted on, just the Facebook, the Twitters, the Instagrams of the world, YouTube. They're saying 82% of the audiences prefer live videos on social media.
Yeah.
Which I know that we can attest to that with live, real video content.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, since the capabilities are there, I mean, it's just like people like watching live TV and live events. Now with streaming and all of that, it's changed a little bit. People are going to watch their series and all that, but they keep cable because they like live events and what's going on. Same with social. People just want to be in the moment. People want to be part of the conversation as it's happening. And I think the ability for people now not to just go live by themselves, but they're able to now bring in people, whether they're doing like a interview through a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live or YouTube Live, whatever it may be. Plus, it gives people the ability to see more authenticity whenever it comes to that. So, and they're able to interact real time. So they're actually have an opportunity to get real time feedback. So, yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think it's huge, especially if you've got a retail shop or a boutique, all of that stuff. Doing lives and selling, I think live selling is actually going to become even more and more important, especially from retail brands, boutiques, things
Right,
of
like
that nature,
mhm.
where you're able to do live reveals each week of new products or new apparel you've got in, being able to engage and, calls and create an opportunity for people to buy, especially if you've got limited inventory of a certain product or a piece of apparel. Live selling is really big outside of the US, but it's gaining traction. So yeah, going live, I think, is huge. For anybody who's never done it, it is uncomfortable your first time,
Mhm.
or your first several times, really. But once you realize that nobody really is watching, um, it becomes very humbling, and then it doesn't really matter as much. And then you just have to stay consistent with it. People are going to start logging in and watching and being a part of that, and your community will start growing. You just have to stay consistent with it to grow it and to get that audience up. So, yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to continue to be huge, and the people that get more comfortable and consistent with it are going to reap the benefits, regardless of what you are, from a personal brand, small brand, big brand, service, business to business, business to consumer, e-commerce, whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
I agree. Yeah, just not to make
What do you
a
think?
yeah, I think like the boutique brands that I've personally known and seen, whether it be from Lynchpin or there's actually one here local in a little small town, and they have been doing well for years before other people were doing it. So
Yep.
they do the live, and it's just hot. I mean, it's hot. It's hot around here. So I definitely agree.
What's the next?
Um, So elevating engagement with ephemeral content. So basically things that disappear within 24 hours or less.
So
So
like stories, reels,
mhm,
Snapchat,
mhm,
videos, things like that.
mhm,
Yeah, I do believe people love the snapshot of what's going on in that time, but they're ready to move on once they've seen it, and then they want to see
mhm,
what's happening now. Kind of goes back to the
mhm.
whole live discussion.
Right.
People want to see what's happening, and they want that snapshot just to kind of keep in, but they don't want too much because they care, but obviously they got other shit to do. So I do think stories is very popular. I use stories, reels, all that stuff a lot. I probably consume information and keep up with peers, colleagues, whatever it may be, markets through that, um, because that's just it. I relate with it better. So yeah, I do believe continuing to use stories and reels. Obviously, there's a huge opportunity still from an organic perspective to take advantage of that, because it's still picking up steam. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that continuing to come up with a good plan and strategy of how to create more stories. And typically, whenever you're creating stories, it shows a lot more authenticity, and it shows a lot more authentic behind the scenes type
Yeah.
feel. It allows you to
Mhm,
do that in small snippets and not necessarily have to be committed to sitting there in front of a camera or in front of your phone for an extended period of time. So there's a lot of different things you can do it. You can utilize filters and all of that too, so you can get kind of creative on it. Um, yeah, having a good. I didn't, but why? I don't know
like
why
in
they use
the
that word. Like that word, I
I
didn't even know that.
know.
I didn't even know that word was a thing. So
I think it's just making content seem more fun, but or not, but just wanted to like point out like some of the things which you talked about already. But just like random banters and like workplace tours, like being able to just like have some of this like behind the scenes type stuff is is what's really, I guess it's adding that personal and informal touch to it. So it's
yeah,
kind of giving your audience a little, little sneak peeks of, what's going on behind the scenes. So
100%.
people
Yeah,
are totally digging it.
yeah. I definitely think your normal posting is more brand and staying on message, staying at a higher level. The stories is more for getting a little bit more intimate with your audience and allowing them to see what's going on behind the scenes, and that's where a lot of the relationship and trust and um, information can be provided on a whole different level. I think that's what those
Yeah.
those allow you to do.
So the next one coming up, I know you have, I'm not sure if you have a lot to say about it, but I know you know a lot about it. Growing demand for social media chatbot communication.
I can't believe this is just now
I
becoming a
know,
trend.
I know.
You know, this is something for several years now has been
Mhm,
needed to be done. The fact,
mhm,
yeah, I got a lot of thoughts on this because there's nothing more annoying than going to a business, going to a website, whatever it is. And, you know, whenever you're talking about chatbots, obviously you want the ability to conversate and engage people that are visiting your website at that time. If they have questions, they don't know where to find them, they can easily click on that chatbot and ask the question. And then whoever, either you have automation set up to where you can help answer commonly asked questions. If they need to speak to a human, then whoever is representing your customer service, maybe that's even you, then it's set up to where that immediately sends you a notification to jump into that conversation, whether that's via text or you've got an app on your phone like we provide through Web Connect IQ, but it allows you to text back with that customer and make immediate engagement. And
mhm.
so, you know, it's something that a term that's being used a lot and it's coming about is conversational marketing, chatbots. I mean, to leverage chatbots is just, if you're not, then you are going to continue to lose share in the marketplace to people that are, and that's just the way that it is. So yes, big believer in that. I do think, you know, they're calling it a trend for 2022. I think it's been a trend, but maybe
Right.
people aren't uh, taking it serious enough. But chatbots, I think, is a must. I think chatbots and conversational marketing is going to be pivotal over the next 3 to 5 years. If you do not already start looking to adapt and get ahead of it, you are going to be left behind.
True story. So here's one that I'm really interested in. I am, I still feel like I'm a little stone age. Like I just have a hard time like adapting to this whole virtual world. But anyway, I'll ride the curtails. More brands will adapt to AR, augmented reality, sorry, and virtual reality, VR technology.
Are you familiar with augmented reality?
I have an idea of what it is. I
Yeah.
have not personally in any way utilized it and, had a personal experience. So,
So you probably have, you just haven't realized it. So
okay.
filters on your phone that make you
Mhm.
look like you're wearing sunglasses or look like you have a beard, that's augmented reality.
So Snapchats are,
Snapchats where you're leveraging that filter. Like you can do it on
okay.
Instagram stories, reels.
Okay. Okay. Wait. And that one time I did, my husband and I were looking at something, I don't remember if it was like a couch or, and I think we were just playing. We weren't really like wanting to buy it, but we were like he was using some thing where he was like putting the couch in the room,
Yep,
to see. That's augmented reality, right?
augmented reality. So it
Okay.
provides you
Well,
with the opportunity to view things to kind of get a feel for what they would look like, and you know, like with the social media filters where it looks like you're wearing those glasses and you know funny faces or you got makeup
that's
on
what I
or
always think
whatever.
of.
That is augmented reality. So you can take that picture and send it out, and people would think maybe you grew a beard overnight or something along those lines. How companies are going to use it, especially in the e-commerce space. Like we've got clients that utilize and have created applications. You know, like our client that's in the home gardening space that do raised
Mm,
beds in the backyard. You know, their ability to take the dimensions, you put it in front of a picture or you hold your phone up to the backyard, and it shows you what that will look like if you were to buy it and what it would look like and give you an idea of what your backyard is going to look like now with
Oh,
that.
that'd
So
be
you
sweet.
can visualize it. VR, virtual reality, is, then taking that next step and actually trying to put you in it so that,
Okay.
and so instead of just seeing a picture and it stops and you kind of get a feel for what it would look like, VR is more put the glasses on and we're going to allow you to walk around it and walk on each corner of the
Okay.
yard to see what it looks like and get in and see what that raised garden bed looks like from every angle as if you already had it set up. So it's putting you in the reality of
I was
that.
confusing the two, I guess.
Yep. So, you can leverage both for e-commerce brands and all that. I think virtual reality, where augmented reality, I think continues to be something that is very powerful and can be useful. I'm not 100% bought in that it makes a huge difference, but we'll see. It's still growing and it's still getting better, that tech. Virtual reality, same thing. The foundational pieces are there, but way out from really getting it to where we're living in some virtual reality, not even close to that. But there are some cool things that I think virtual reality will allow people to do. For example, looking for new homes, being able to take a virtual tour of the home as if you're in there. Now, people are still going to need to go to that home. This just gives you an idea of whether or not you a better feeling of than just
Being in
pictures.
it.
You're able to walk around the floor print. You're able to really analyze and see and go into the bathrooms and the closets and all that in a virtual and go, this looks good. Now let me go see it in person. So they can utilize that. A lot of people think it's going to take over the travel industry. I think that that's insane. Like, people are still going to be regular people, at least for the foreseeable future. But the big thing with the travel is maybe you can get an idea. Like, I think it's going to help the travel industry because it's going to give people that that itch. Let's say they go on virtual reality and they want to go somewhere on virtual reality and they feel like they're standing there at the Eiffel Tower. I think it's going to give people the itch to want to actually go stand in front of the Eiffel Tower. If that makes sense. I don't think it's going to replace it. I think there's a lot of opportunity, but yeah, hopefully that kind of explained that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that gives me clarity. I was definitely, I guess augmented reality is a new term, even though it's not a new thing in my world because I've been using Snapchat for a while, but I guess I was trying to make it more complicated, which is what I do when it comes to technology.
Yeah. Well, I do too, which is why I have to like really bring it down to a level where I can understand it. And I think that, me having to do that for myself helps me to walk through it sometimes. But yeah, so I think both of those are definitely useful. We will see. I can see it being a trend. Now, whether or not it's worth makes a big difference from an ROI perspective, that I think we are still trying to figure out. And that's still something that's going to be figured out over the next several years.
Yeah, I definitely see how that could be, impact the ROI and especially some, industries for sure. Like how it would just make it, more real and like, I mean, when I think about it personally, like I'm looking out my backyard and I don't know what the vision is if I had these raised beds or what it would look like. And, it's just like for me, if I could like see it, then maybe I would be like, oh my God, yes, I'm pulling the trigger on this. I'm absolutely purchasing this, like for me.
Yeah,
Right. It's like being able to see that finished product is like everything.
yeah, yeah, no. And yeah, I mean, it will give you a really good idea, but we all know, and this is the thing, is like, I think we all know that at least majority, at least this is the way I feel, that what you see isn't always, and a lot of times isn't even close to what you actually get. I don't care what type of augmented reality you got that kind of gives you an idea of what that TV is going to look like on your wall. Whenever you get it and you get it out and you put it there and you've got everything else going on in your room and you're actually able to see it with the certain glare that comes in from the window or whatever it is, like all these other factors that real life just gives you, It will give you a good idea, but I don't. It's in my opinion, it's yet to see whether or not it makes that big of a difference, at least until
Right.
the tech gets better.
Right.
Which the tech's pretty good, so we'll at least
Yeah.
for augmented. And
All
VR,
right. So,
yeah,
yeah.
good one.
Okay. So I'm really excited about this one, this conversation. It's just how when the iOS made changes and how basically, the gosh, I don't know if this is the right way of saying it, but the wannabes and the ones who really aren't invested all that much, like got sifted out. And so the same thing, brands to continue investing in influencer marketing. And so basically, they're being more cautious in choosing the influencers, and they're cracking down on the imposters, and the fake and the ones who have fake followers. And it's they were just talking about in this article how that they're going to be, more partnering up and like having the influencer do more work. And it's not just like taking a photo with them and a product. It's like, putting in more efforts and creating some content, how-to videos and demos, so, it's just up in the game for the influencer marketing.
Yeah, no, I think so. The whole influencer stuff is it's not really interesting. I think yes, with the right influencers, and there are really, really powerful influencers out there. It's I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm trying to say whenever it comes to this. But look, I think a lot of brands for the last several years have gotten caught up into this whole, and influencers as well, of this whole influencer thing. And they're going in, they're just looking at likes, they're looking at it from a very traditional advertising and marketing outlook, where you're looking at it and you're going, wow, they've got 1 million followers. And so the awareness and the exposure we're going to get is good. Well, it turns out that, the engagement for that influencer isn't good. Maybe those followers aren't really legit. They're not really bought in. They're not solid. They don't pay attention for whatever reason. And so, the influencer uh, isn't able to provide them with the uh, the results that they ultimately want. And they've probably been burnt. I know a lot of companies have been burnt by it, and especially, I do see a lot of influencers that typically are charging a lot more, being probably better than the ones that kind of do the pay for performance model, as well. But really, at the end of the day, this is the way everybody's an influencer now. Like, and that's my honest opinion. Make a good product, care about your customers, treat them right, make them feel like they're a part of the community, and you are going to have 1,000, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if you get to that level of influencers out there. And, while some will even say, well, you take Kylie Jenner and you want to um, pay her $500,000 or whatever it is to promote your product. Well, she is a public figure, and yeah, you could get exposure, but is that really going to generate sales?
Mhm.
And is that actually going to help us push forward with our plans and what we're looking to accomplish out of that? A lot of times with influencers of that caliber, taking the content, repurposing it to build just really build credibility and
Mhm.
show, hey, look, we've got that, is more powerful than looking for direct sales off of her promoting your product,
Mhm.
unless you do it right and you get her to become almost an ambassador. But typically, the only way to do that is to create a good product, create a good community, and make your audience feel a part of that, and then they're going to want to naturally promote that. And so in my opinion, yes, if you're looking for influencers, especially like on TikTok and all that, I think influencers are extremely powerful, especially like I said, on TikTok. I think they have a lot of opportunity there with the way that algorithm and just the way that platform works. But yeah, you definitely need to focus on what the strategy is and what you want to get out of it, but also too what their community actually is. 300 dedicated followers that are in the influencers community is 10 times better than 300,000 that just followed because they were targeted in an ad and thought they may have some interest in it, or they were they signed up or followed for a contest that influencer did, but they don't really care about
Right.
the impact or what that influencer is actually promoting. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Yes, I think influencer marketing it can be extremely lucrative, but I think people are realizing as well that there's more to it than just putting it in front of somebody who has a bunch of followers and expecting something out of it. I think a lot of people have been burnt that way, and they're going to continue to want more from the influencer, which is what this is referring to, than just, hey, post my product in your feed and then buy and get the exposure out of it, because it needs to be more. It needs to be more commitment, and it needs to build up more trust. And just like anything else, it needs to be continuously talked about. Like the touch points have to be there from that influencer to their community for it to actually make an impact, instead of just one-offs here and there. So yeah, I think, just my opinion, make a great product and invest in your customers, each one of them, as much as you can, and make them feel part of the community, and it will take care of itself, in my opinion. Just my thoughts.
I like it. Yep. All right. So another one that you probably have some thoughts on here, local targeting to get more prevalent. So local targeting,
yeah,
becoming more and more, useful. People, I mean, especially like for example, is like smaller brands competing with large brands, and like just really focusing in on your local community. And you can already, like for instance, they give in the article, Instagram already allows people to look for posts and stories in their vicinity, which allows local brands to be more discoverable. So
yeah,
it's just more and more being utilized local markets.
yeah. I feel like this has always been a trend and kind of a duh moment for me when thinking about it. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, local, and you should always start local if you're starting off. To build that community, it's a lot easier for people to buy in. It's a lot easier for people who want to support you. So if you're running ads targeting people around you and calling that out, hey, like here, hey, city of not even Atlanta, you go, hey, city of Buckhead or something along those lines, or create content that's all about the Buckhead area. So you probably show up in news feeds more, but most importantly, you build a community around that, and they get more invested as well. And then once you grow locally, then you can start expanding out from there, because you've already built something. You built the foundation of your business and your community and your brand. Now you can start expanding that out, and it's going to be a lot more solid. And people, as you continue to build out and expand your reach, then at that point, you've already proven yourself in the market. A lot easier to expand and do it a lot more efficiently and in a way where you're going to see a lot quicker returns. So yeah, I definitely think local marketing, I'm assuming that they're just talking more on social, making sure you're talking about it in your social post, you're talking about it in your social advertising, all of that, and you're creating content around that. So yes, everything, especially if you're starting off, but build the local community and build your local, touch points to really talk about that so that people feel more invested and they feel more part of your brand.
Yes. So just to wrap that up, was local targeting is the best way to reach out to people and get maximum ROI.
Yes.
You know,
I mean,
so, right.
yeah. I mean, that's always been a trend in my mind.
So this one is very interesting to me. I don't have a lot invested in Twitter.
Yeah.
So the article says Twitter to transform into trustworthy news portal. And so, however, the past hasn't been 100% authenticity. They're saying that it's going to lead to more authentic and reliable news source. I personally,
I'm not going to spend
don't.
a ton of thoughts
Yeah.
on this because I think there's a lot more. A trustworthy news portal, and just in
Yeah.
2022, you might as well just take that headline
Right.
and dump it in the trash because
Mhm.
quite honestly, I think news everywhere is not trustworthy at this point. And even people have started to realize whenever it comes to any social platform, not just Twitter, that I think that there's so many things that are deemed certain things based off of not reliable
Mhm.
ways, like,
Mhm.
misinformation and all this stuff and fact checkers and all this stuff, regardless what side you're on, you realize that it may not be it's a fact checker that sees it one way or another.
Mhm.
And I think people have lost trust in that. So I
Mhm.
don't think anything in 2022 I think this is 5 to 10 years, I think, of rebuilding trust in news and media.
I'm not sure that I'll
Unfortunately,
ever.
I think the only way that Twitter can become trustworthy, or any organization, especially social media. I'm not going to talk about all the media platforms out there because, I don't know much about it, but social obviously is people reporting that are trusted by that specific person to report vetted information. I think maybe the way that these organizations become more trustworthy is from the call them influencers or the content creator or the news, the reporter or the journalist that's on there has gained absolute trust.
Mhm.
And once again, I still think that that's very far off before we're able. I do
Mhm.
think people are going to start
Mhm.
looking for that. And I don't know what platform it will be. Obviously, there's a lot of information that goes into Twitter, but and comes from Twitter out there more than the other platforms, in my opinion. But becoming trustworthy, I don't believe this at all, unfortunately. Just my opinion.
Just my
And
opinion
I just
too.
think we're so
Mhm.
far off and in the midst of such uncertainty whenever it comes to what we are getting information on. I mean, you talk about the war right now, and it's coming out that these videos on Twitter and all this other stuff like is completely bogus. Like there's
Yep.
videos that were from a video game in 2008
Yep.
that were made to look like it was a pilot out in Ukraine
Mhm.
shooting
Mhm.
down Russian air. I mean, just all this stuff. And I mean, the more that happens, it's just going to be a while before we find something that's going to get trust back
Mhm.
100%.
Mhm.
And I definitely don't think it's going to be a social platform that builds that back up first. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong with that. I'm just not sure. In 2022, it's going to be Twitter. Just put it that way. There may be one that comes out. I don't know, but we'll see what that happens. But I just don't think it can be Twitter.
Mhm.
Just my opinion and my thoughts.
Yeah, I
So,
I agree. When I read that, I was like, well, I'm not on Twitter much, but I agree. It's the mainstream media is, and that's even what it said. Twitter is now expected to rise as a mainstream news media platform and
I think,
increased participation from people. And I just think for me personally, mainstream news media is like huge red flag. And not just for me, but for like countless people that I know. So I'm right there with you, Brandon. I agree. So this is interesting. The death of Instagram likes. So pretty much it's like, it's basically they're saying finally might be the year to kick this infatuation to the curb, all of these likes, and that it is having a negative impact, and even more so than positive, and that they have already started testing it by making some of the accounts private for several users, so that it's basically it's more of a focus. The indication of success to engagement, to shift their focus from likes as an indication of success to engagement and the quality of the content. So basically just doing away with the likes. They may just Instagram just may get rid of likes altogether.
yeah, I
That's
feel
what
like
they're
they've been
saying.
talking about this for years,
Mhm.
and it still hasn't happened. I don't know. I don't know this being a trend. I don't understand that, but yeah, I don't really have much to say on that. I mean, if it's causing and it's something that is confirmed that it's causing, like, I don't think it's going to make a difference one way or the other for any brands or anything like that out there. If you're putting good stuff out and people are following you and engaging with you, then the likes doesn't mean anything. I think the only reason why the likes are something are for people that are trying to show. I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it. I'm not sure that it happens in 2022 or ever, because they've been talking
Mhm.
about it forever.
Mhm.
But if they do, great. If they don't, great. Uh, I just don't see it affecting a lot.
Yeah, I've
I wouldn't put too
remembered,
much stock in it. I
right.
mean, it just is what it is. I mean, they get away with it, good. If they don't, good. I mean, whatever. I think you just kind of move on.
Yeah, I remember hearing, just years ago, and I'm not even like in on the updates and the new, but I just remember years ago, it was a topic about, the likes are really causing, negativity, and people are, getting like, I don't even know, they had some
Well,
scientific words
yeah,
about how it's
they're
affecting humans, and
psychologically, it's
uh-huh. Hmm.
confidence, and mainly in teens, I think, is what they were talking about. And and that may be the case. And if it is, and it's a harm to humanity, then okay. I also think, though, that is there a bigger discussion that needs to be had if that is what you're basing your your confidence levels on? Um, and maybe that needs to be more of the conversation as opposed to just getting rid of likes. I think that may potentially, and this is getting to a whole different conversation, but um, uh, yeah, I,
Yeah.
I don't know why this is a trend. I'll say that. We'll see what happens. But regardless, I don't think anybody should worry about it one way or the other.
Agree.
So,
Okay, so this is a really hot topic for linchpin. User-generated content will get more impetus. And so, they just go on to say, which makes a lot of sense, like, you really don't have any control over what the users are saying. So it's really the most trustworthy source. And then, there's two great benefits, which is, just cutting back on your marketing budget so that you can, and still be branding your content. And then the second is it allows customers to the forefront and makes them feel valued, is usually, what the,
yeah, user-generated content is a must, and will continue to be a must. It's no different if you want to take it off social media and just look at it for the many, many years that we've been on this earth, and somebody sees a shirt that you're wearing, they like it, they ask you where you got it, and how much it was or whatever else. And you're like, yeah, I love it. I got it at Belk, which is, I don't even know if there's still Belks around. I think there is, but
Yeah.
I got it at Belk, and you can go pick it up, and it's, it's Ralph Lauren or whatever. I don't know. I'm just making something
Mhm.
up, but anyway, it's the same concept. It's just getting people to do that on their social media. Obviously getting boxes in the mail and opening those on social media. Unboxings is what we call them if you're selling a product, is great as well. But this is kind of goes back in my mind, like I kind of throw this and influencers in the same bucket.
Mhm.
Essentially, this is just the strongest form of influencer marketing, because you're
Mhm.
getting people and to share their story about your brand or show off their results of your brand and working with your brand or buying something from your brand, and then they're posting it and sharing it to their community, which then the one cool thing that you can do is take that and repurpose it yourself and share it across your social media, even get permission to use it in your ads as well, which it gets better results, people engage with it more, which drives down cost. So that does go with one of the benefits of being able to cut those costs, because it does get better engagement, which then allows you to get cheaper costs. So yes, I think user generated content is a must, especially for e-commerce brands, but any brand in general.
And I feel like, these are kind of a repeat in some ways, but anyway, we've kind of talked about, but video content continues to bloom. It's not a secret that video does better than images or any written content, so
In my opinion, well, it's not my opinion, I think it's proven
it's
fact.
fact. Mhm.
Um, Person to person is always going to be top notch. And as long as we remain humans, it's always going to be the best way to sell, gain credibility, build a relationship. However, quickly coming up on that, because of the boom of all these platforms, is video. I have very intimate relations, not intimate, that's probably the wrong word. I have very trustworthy relationships, people that I work with all over the world that I have never met in person. I've only seen them on video first, and then I buy from them, and then I may have a conversation with them via Zoom or something along those lines. But I trust them with everything with my life. So yes, video is right there, and the quickest way to get results and the fastest way is to get good on video. And that's what I tell everybody: get comfortable with it. Put yourself out there, because that's how people communicate. They're able to see you, they're able to hear you, watch the way you talk, the way you're saying things, the way you're approaching it, sincerity, authenticity, and there's nothing else remotely like it. Podcast, I think, is a part of a way of doing that as well, because I do think it does a lot, because people hear the way you talk, what you say, how you say it, which I think is extremely important, which you don't get from written content. But video, it shows just about everything that you would see in person to person, and only strengthens that relationship, and people feel more comfortable seeing you look right into the camera. It's the same reason why for several years before social and all that, and you start talking about influencers, influencers aren't like, a lot of them are, they're just known from their community through video.
Mhm.
And the same thing has been with actors and actresses over many, many years. Why were they the ones that were always getting the commercial gigs that promoted specific brands? It's because people trusted that if they were putting their face on it, putting their name
Mhm.
on it,
Right.
that it had to be legit. They wouldn't
Mhm.
do that. Why did that hold so much weight? Because people saw them in front of a video camera and got to see them talk. They got to see them and feel that importance. Not really the importance, but they got to make that connection. And so they just automatically trusted them more. However,
Mhm.
nobody's ever met, well, not everybody, but like a lot of people haven't met Brad Pitt, but they trust
Right.
Brad Pitt to lead them down a path of legitimacy whenever he's promoting something, right?
Mhm.
So it's that same type concept, but now you're even able to get on a better level because of what social media and the internet have provided us to be able to do. This is how people communicate now. This is just right there with person to person. So yes, 100%, and I think it will continue to be a trend, if not a necessity.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
is
that
that it?
wraps it up. Mhm.
Boom. All right.
Damn.
I felt like this was pretty good. I
Yeah.
like these topics. Anyway.
Yeah, I
all right.
did too. I thought it was, you know, I mean, even there were a couple that I didn't really either agree with or saw the point, not from my perspective, but I thought they were really good topics. So thanks
Good.
for all of your thoughts on everything and helping us, you know, to better understand what's going on
You're the
for
bomb.
me.
Thank you. All right. I will talk to you here soon. I'm gonna
Sounds good.